She walked into Toronto as the 25th seed with a nation on her shoulders. She leaves as a giant killer, having just dismantled an Olympic gold medalist in straight sets. 7 straight wins, 2 tournaments, and now a quarterfinal berth in a WTA 1000 event. The Eala Express just derailed Belinda Bencic's dreams, and Toronto is still shaking. The ankle was still throbbing. The tape had been ripped off in desperation, and the 2-hour and 39-minute war with Caddy McNally had only just ended. But Eala had done what champions do. She had survived. She had extended her winning streak to 7 matches, the longest of her career. She had reached the 4th round of a WTA 1000 tournament for the first time since her breakout run at the Miami Open in 2025. And she had done it all while battling a nagging injury that would have stopped lesser players in their tracks. Now, waiting for her in the round of 16 was Belinda Bencic. The Swiss star, seated 12th in Toronto, had just survived a war of her own. A 3-hour and 24-minute marathon against American Taylor Townsend that ended 6-7-5, 7-6-4, 6-4. The 29-year-old, who had won this very tournament back in 2015, had been pushed to her absolute limit. But she had found a way. The matchup was set. An Olympic gold medalist against a Filipino sensation on a 7-match winning streak. A battle of generations, of styles, of wills. And for the first time in their careers, the two were about to share a court. For Eala, the challenge was clear. Bencic had reached the semifinals of 2 Grand Slams, captured the gold medal at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, and possessed one of the most complete games on tour. She was a former world no. 4 who had won 9 WTA titles and had been playing some of the best tennis of her career. But Eala had beaten the best before. She had defeated Olympic gold medalists, Grand Slam champions, and the world number 3. Her 9-4 record against top 10 opponents, with 7 of those wins coming in 2026 alone, was proof that she belonged among the elite. The ankle was a concern. She had called for a medical timeout against McNally, had the tape ripped off during the match, and had played through pain. But Eala had shown time and time again that she could overcome adversity. And the atmosphere at Sobeys Stadium, 10,000 fans packed into center court, Filipino flags waving from every section, would be her fuel. The road to Bencic had been grueling, but Eala had survived. And now, the biggest test of her career awaited. Standing across the net from Eala on Monday, August 10, was a player who had achieved what few in tennis ever have. Belinda Bencic had not only won an Olympic gold medal, she had done it in a way that elevated her to legendary status in her home country. The Tokyo 2020 Olympic gold medalist, Bencic, the world no. 14, had captured Switzerland's first ever women's singles tennis gold at the Tokyo Games in 2021. She defeated Marketa Vondrousova in a tense 3-set final, 7-5, 2-6, 6-3, becoming the first Swiss woman to stand atop the Olympic podium in tennis. Alongside her singles gold, she also claimed double silver with Viktorija Golubic, delivering one of the most impressive performances of those games. "I really don't know how it worked out for me. I really had a lot of belief in myself," Bencic said after that victory. The win was deeply personal. She dedicated it to her mentors Roger Federer and Martina Hingis, neither of whom had won Olympic singles gold. "Roger wrote to me today. He said this is the perfect day to reach my dreams," she revealed. But Bencic's resume extends far beyond the Olympics. The 29-year-old Swiss star has reached a career-high ranking of world no. 4, made the semifinals of the 2019 US Open and 2025 Wimbledon, and won the Toronto title back in 2015. She has beaten the best in the world and has the experience that comes from over a decade on the tour. Her path to the 4th round in Toronto was a testament to her fighting spirit. Bencic had just survived a 3-hour and 26-minute marathon against American Taylor Townsend, saving 2 match points in the process. The 6-7-5, 7-6-4, 6-4 victory was the kind of performance that reminded everyone why she is still one of the most dangerous players on tour. For Eala, this was a different kind of challenge. Not just a powerful opponent, but a battle-tested veteran who had been there and done that. Bencic's array of skills, her movement, her variety, her ability to absorb pressure, would test every facet of Eala's rapidly evolving game. And the match would be their first meeting, a blank slate that offered no comfort or past success to lean on. The stage was set. An Olympic champion on one side, a rising Filipino sensation on the other, and the entire tennis world was watching. The stage was set. The Olympic gold medalist on one side, the Filipino sensation on the other. Two players on 7-match winning streaks, both battle-tested, both hungry. And when the first ball was struck, it became clear that Eala had come to make a statement. Belinda Bencic came out firing. The 29-year-old Swiss star, who had won this very tournament in 2015 and claimed Olympic gold at the Tokyo Games, had the weight of experience on her side. She reached a career-high world no. 4 ranking in 2020. She reached the semi-finals of Wimbledon as recently as 2025. She had been here before on the biggest stages against the best players in the world. But Eala had been here before too. She had beaten Olympic gold medalists, Grand Slam champions, and the world number 3. Her 9-4 record against top 10 opponents, with 7 of those wins coming in 2026 alone, was proof that she belonged among the elite. And she was riding a 7-match winning streak that had carried her from Washington champion to Toronto giant killer. The match was a battle of styles. Bencic's array of skills, her movement, her variety, her ability to absorb pressure, tested every facet of Eala's rapidly evolving game. But Eala responded with precision and fearlessness. She neutralized Bencic's experience with relentless consistency, refusing to let the Swiss star dictate points the way she had against Townsend. "I think I had to take it point by point," Eala said of her approach. She executed that strategy perfectly. When Bencic attempted to take control of rallies, Eala extended them, forcing errors and waiting for her moment to strike. Her movement, despite the ankle concerns from the McNally match, was crisp and decisive. The numbers told the story of a masterclass. The Filipino sensation had just dismantled an Olympic gold medalist in straight sets, sending a message to the rest of the draw. Eala was not just a feel-good story. She was a legitimate contender. The victory was even more impressive given the context. Bencic had just survived a 3-hour and 24-minute marathon against American Taylor Townsend, saving 2 match points in the process. She was battle-tested and resilient. But Eala had answers for everything the Swiss star threw at her. When the final point was won, the Filipina dropped her racket and raised her arms in triumph. She had avenged no one. She had beaten no one she had lost to before. She had simply beaten the best player standing in her way. And that was the most dangerous sign of all. The center court erupted. The Filipino flags waved. And Eala had booked her spot in the quarterfinals of a WTA 1000 tournament for the first time in her career. For Eala, the victory was more than just another win. It was proof that her 7-match winning streak was not a fluke. She had conquered an Olympic gold medalist, extended her career best run, and silenced any doubters who questioned whether she belonged at this level. But the celebration would have to wait. Because waiting for her in the quarterfinals was a familiar and terrifying challenge. The road only gets harder from here. But if there's one thing Eala has proven this season, it's that she thrives under pressure. If the tennis world thought it had seen the peak of Eala mania in the 2nd round, the 4th round proved them spectacularly wrong. When Eala walked onto center court at Sobeys Stadium to face Belinda Bencic, the atmosphere was unlike anything the Canadian Open had ever witnessed. More than 10,000 fans packed the stadium. Philippine flags draped over railings in boxes and the upper deck. The chants of "Let's go, Alex!" shook the stadium with an intensity that felt more like a World Cup match than a tennis tournament. It was a super wild Filipino crowd. "The loudest I have ever heard," said Diane Castillejo, the traveling Filipino journalist and former tennis player who has covered Eala's rise from the beginning. It felt like it was in the Philippines. Incredible. For those in the Greater Toronto Area's large Filipino community, listed at over 270,000 in the 2021 census, the night was a celebration of identity, of heritage, of a community that had shown up in force to support one of their own. Danilo Baluyot, the executive director of Toronto's Taste of Manila event, told reporters, "She's being branded as the next Manny Pacquiao. Because she's young and she has a lot of attention, she has this charm to the community. We follow and we support." The scenes rivaled some of the most electric moments in Canadian tennis history. Victoria Mboko's title in Montreal, Bianca Andreescu's championship run in 2019, Denis Shapovalov's stunner over Rafael Nadal in 2017. The one difference? Those achievements all featured Canadians. Wednesday night was a showcase for the multiculturalism of Toronto, a community showing up in big numbers to support potentially the biggest Filipino sports star since Pacquiao. Inside the stadium, a few young men wore t-shirts with the words, "Fight, Believe, Represent." A couple holding their young child carried a sign with a Filipino flag and the words, "Past my bedtime, but cheering for you, Alex." Another man, wearing a Blue Jays hat, raised Canadian and Filipino flags for a picture in front of a giant tennis ball. Signs screamed Eala Mania and Mahal Kita. The atmosphere was a testament to the power of representation. When the match ended, when Eala had dismantled the Olympic gold medalist in straight sets, the eruption was deafening. The roar from the crowd surely could be heard across York University's sprawling campus on the northern edge of Toronto. Eala soaked it all in, putting her hands in a heart shape to pay tribute to another special crowd in a year full of special moments. Play-by-play man Mark Petchey, speaking on the WTA Tour World television feed, captured the moment perfectly. "It's the kind of noise that accompanies a Grand Slam win, and this is just the fourth round here in Toronto. The one and only, the extraordinary Alex Eala doing things in tennis that just seem out of this world." And when Eala addressed the crowd in her post-match interview, she delivered a message that brought the house down. She spoke about feeling at home in the multicultural city of Toronto, where the Filipino community had embraced her like family. She acknowledged the support that had carried her through the toughest matches of her career. And she promised to keep fighting, keep believing, keep representing. The crowd stayed on their feet. The chants continued, the flags waved, and Toronto erupted. The quarterfinal dream was alive. The victory over Belinda Bencic was more than just another win. It was a declaration. The Eala Express had officially arrived at the quarterfinals of a WTA 1000 tournament. The center court at Sobeys Stadium had witnessed something special. More than 10,000 fans packed the stands, Philippine flags draped over railings in boxes, and the upper deck. The chants of "Let's go, Alex!" shook the stadium with an intensity that felt more like a World Cup match than a tennis tournament. When Eala dismantled the Olympic gold medalist in straight sets, the eruption was deafening. It's the kind of noise that accompanies a Grand Slam win, and this is just the fourth round here in Toronto, play-by-play man Mark Petchey said on the WTA Tour World television feed. The one and only, the extraordinary Alex Eala doing things in tennis that just seem out of this world. The victory was even more impressive given the context. Eala had extended her winning streak to 8 matches, the longest of her career. She had become the first Filipino to reach the quarterfinals of a WTA 1000 event. She had beaten an Olympic gold medalist, a former world number 4, and a player who had won this very tournament back in 2015. The win over Bencic was particularly significant considering the Swiss star's resume. 2 Grand Slam semifinals, the Tokyo 2020 Olympic gold medal, and 9 WTA titles. Eala's journey through the tournament had been a test of resilience. She opened her campaign with a gritty 6-1, 4-6, 6-2 victory over Alicia Parks, avenging her Australian Open loss in front of a sold-out crowd. "I think I was so hyped after the match, it didn't end in the on-court interview. Even when I was in the gym, I was still so hyped," Eala said after the match. "I think this win really meant a lot. It was a great opportunity for me to learn and to grow as a player." Then came Caty McNally. The American had just stunned reigning Wimbledon champion Linda Noskova in the previous round. Eala, fighting through a nagging ankle injury, prevailed 6-3, 5-7, 6-4 after 2 hours and 39 minutes. She had to call for a medical timeout in the second set after rolling her ankle. I was like, oh, I don't know what happened because it happened so fast, Eala said after the match. But luckily, there's nothing wrong with it. And there were no serious problems. Now, waiting for her in the quarterfinals is a familiar name. Coco Gauff, the number 4 seed who has been watching Eala's rise with keen interest. Gauff had already weighed in on the phenomenon, saying, I think the demographic that Alex is bringing to the sport of tennis is so great, and I think all of us should embrace that, because we're all benefiting from it. The question is no longer whether Eala can compete with the best. She has already proven that she can. The question is, how far can she go? The Canadian Open is just the beginning. The Cincinnati Open looms on the horizon, the US Open awaits, and Alex Eala is just getting started. What happens when a 21-year-old from Manila, fresh off the biggest victory of her career, faces a new challenge in front of a sold-out crowd? What happens when a nation of 110 million people, a diaspora that spans the globe, and a sport that has been forever changed by her rise are all watching? The answers are being written. But one thing is certain. The Eala Express shows no signs of slowing down. Alex Eala has reached the quarterfinals of a WTA 1000 tournament for the first time in her career. She extended her winning streak to 8 matches, beating Olympic gold medalist Belinda Bencic in straight sets in front of a sold-out crowd of 10,000 plus Filipino fans. The Eala Express keeps rolling, and the world is watching to see how far she can go. If you enjoyed this story, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We bring you the biggest stories in tennis, drama, and emotion every single week. Don't miss what happens next.